Yes, good morning, Lieutenant Stewart. This is Danielle Keiko. I didn't expect to catch you, but I was wondering if I could have a few moments of your time again, if you're available.
Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead.
Okay, I was thinking about our conversation last night, and part of what you said that you hadn't looked into the criminal background of Enyart and Gordon Carroll's associates. And I would recommend a couple people that you could talk to verify the criminal background of these people, one of which would be George Brockler, the Arapahoe County District Attorney. And George Brockler is the one who prosecuted Bob Enyart in the 90s, and he's very familiar with the kind of dangerous individual he is, and I'm sure he's aware of Gordon Carroll as well. And
I can pull up his criminal history very easily and get it in great detail. I just hadn't done that yet. I guess was what I was saying. I haven't pulled it up or looked at it yet at all.
Okay. Now, do you think that would be important to know the type of criminal history that Enyart has, considering the fact that Gordon Carroll is under his leadership?
Well, like you said, if it's two convictions of child abuse, and that's what is in his criminal history. We can't necessarily dictate exactly what people do, and who they associate with off duty. There are several people out there that I'm sure, officers that you probably, that many people associate with, that have criminal convictions in their history. But just because they have criminal convictions in their history doesn't mean that people won't hang out with them and or can't hang out with them,
right?
Because of something they've done decades ago. And I don't know when the convictions were, but just as if, let's just say, for example, you had a criminal conviction. I'm sure you wouldn't want people to just disassociate with you completely because of something you did. And again, I don't know all the details, but... Well,
if I were a convicted child abuser and I were lying about it, I would feel like there's something to hide. Now, keep in mind that Bob Enyart doesn't go around bragging about the fact that he left deep bruising and welts on a cop's son or on his own children. This was all information we found out through the court records later. He, of course, represents himself as a biblical pastor who just lovingly spanked his girlfriend's son on the backside 5 times. But the thing is he has an FBI number, too, and this isn't some petty criminal that he just got trouble, shoplifting or something. This is a violent criminal that Gordon is associated with. And when I say pastor, I really mean cult leader. And cult is quite different. And if you guys know any cult experts, I would also recommend talking to them about mind control, because Gordon is under a significant amount of mind control, and where he is, frankly, Bob's little bitch. He will do whatever Bob says.
Hold on, Danielle. Hold on just a second. We don't have a policy that says people can't hang out with other people that have been convicted of misdemeanor crimes. And unless you know something I don't, I think he's been convicted of misdemeanor crimes.
Okay, what about him?
Per policy that a lot of what you're stating is your opinion, that he's a very, very violent person and that he's a cult leader.
Well, that's not my opinion.
I can't change or tell Gordon Carroll that he can't hang out with somebody that's been convicted of a misdemeanor crime.
Oh, well, what about conspiracy to bomb an abortion clinic? Is that on your radar of somebody that he shouldn't hang out with?
Convicted of that?
Well, Joe Scott, Ken Scott's wife, has. She served federal prison time in a prison.
Okay, and it sounds like if she was convicted of that and paid her debt to society, so to speak, and I don't know if Gordon Carroll hangs out with her or not, but if he goes to the same church as they do, I can't stop somebody from attending a church.
Okay, you know what it sounds like, Lieutenant? It sounds like you're making excuses for Gordon.
I'm not making excuses for anybody. I didn't say I'm making excuses. I'm saying I'm making the case of we have to follow our policy, and I can't prohibit somebody from going to a church.
Right. What I understand that. I know you can't do that, but what I'm saying is it looks really bad for your department that you guys don't have any standard of who your cops hang out with on off hour. For example, let's look at Sullivan. In his free time, he liked to solicit boys and trade drugs for sex. Now, do you have a problem with that?
Of course I do. And he was charged with those crimes.
Okay, now Gordon is the associate with Sullivan as well.
Are you comparing Pat Sullivan to Gordon Carroll?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am, because Bob Enyart...
I disagree with that. I disagree with that comparison, and I'm not going to sit here, I'm not going to just listen to you insult people. I mean, if you want to discuss facts of who's been convicted of what and that kind of thing, and what our policy is and what I can dictate, I will be happy to discuss that
Okay.
with you. And we don't have, and I'm not aware of many agencies that dictate where you can and can't go to church on your days off. I mean, we do have policies that do dictate what you can do in some associations you can make, but right now what we have is Gordon Carroll going to church, and you clearly disagree with that church and those people, and I'm not saying that you can't or that you shouldn't, but those are your opinions, and I can and won't take sides in that issue at all.
Okay, well, here are the facts. The fact is that Bob Enyart is a violent, convicted child abuser. Now, you don't get convicted of cruelty towards a child if it doesn't involve violence. When you leave deep purple bruising and welts on a young child's backside multiple times repeatedly, when you get restraining orders put against you because of your violence towards children, that is a fact, and Gordon Carroll hangs out with a man like that. It's also a fact that Kenneth Tyler Scott has served jail time for harassment, for stalking. He's been in a mental institution multiple times. It's a fact that he's been labeled hypo-manic, homicidal. These are all facts, and these are facts that Gordon Carroll has closely associated himself with these types of filthy, dirty individuals. Now, again,
who labeled him as homicidal? Who gave him that label?
Okay, Dr. Ray Graybill, he's a mental health professional. You can confirm it with him at the State Mental Health Institution. This is all on record. We're not making this up. These are not my opinions, sir. These are facts. And Gordon Carroll hangs out with people that bomb Clinton. No, it's not. He's
a serial killer. Is your opinion? That is not a fact.
Oh, well, okay. It is a fact. Actually, have you asked him about it? Because he won't deny it.
That he's a serial killer?
Yeah, Bob Enyart is a serial killer, and Gordon Carroll hangs out with him.
Well, when you say hang out, what do you even know? How do you know? Do you hang out with him as well? How do you know that he does more than just go to church with them, or have a business relationship and or through the church relationship? And do you think that what do you think as an agency we should say you can't go to church there? You don't think we would open ourselves up to some substantial liability and telling somebody you can't go to church there?
You know what? You don't have to tell him what to do about anything. What you do need to do it as internal investigations, if you are in fact supposed to be an authentic organization that cares about the integrity and the righteous judgment that's supposed to be implemented in these cases. If you're supposed to keep the cops from being dirty, if that's really what your job is, because to me, frankly, it sounds like you're trying to cover it up.
Well, I don't have any. What would I be covering up?
Well, the fact that Gordon Carroll hangs out with criminals, that doesn't seem to bother you in the slightest. That it's no surprise to you that I'm calling Bob Enyart a serial killer, and that I'm telling you.
Have you ever been, or do you know, or do you hang out with anybody that's ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes, I do, and I don't hang out with them.
You don't at all?
No, I don't, because they're criminals.
Okay, well, and that's fine, but most people don't know other people's criminal histories. I mean,
we do.
And again, we don't have a policy that dictates if somebody's been convicted of a misdemeanor crime that you can't hang out with them.
Well, and I understand that. I know that we all have a free will and we can choose who we want to hang out with. But what you asked me to do is you asked me to take a reference of him being dirty off the internet. And in good conscience, I just can't do that because it makes you dirty by association. When you hang out with violent criminals, if you have no other choice but to associate and be an elder of a cult, of a mind control cult, where that organizes the abductions and murder of children while protesting against the killing of babies in the name of God, you don't find that the least bit disturbing? I mean, Gordon Carroll, you might want to talk to Brian Rohrbaugh, actually, because Brian Rohrbaugh, the father of Danny Rohrbaugh, who was killed at Columbine, knows all about Bob and how much of a pathological liar he is and how much of a dangerous person he is. And he said that nothing happens at Denver Bible Church that the elders aren't actively a part of.
Okay.
And Gordon has free will, but if you really want me to make to remove any reference of Arapahoe County being dirty, I think you need to prove that you're not dirty first.
Well, I think you need to prove that he. I don't. You don't need. If that's your opinion, Daniel, obviously you're entitled to that, and you're also entitled to post it. I guess my question would be though, aside from his association with Bob Enyart, who you clearly do not like or agree with, aside from his association, what do you have that would label him as dirty? I guess that's what I don't. That's what I don't know.
Okay, I mean, well, we can go into detail. Not only does he associate himself with a violent child abuser, he associates himself with somebody who was clinically diagnosed as hypo-manic homicidal, who's served jail time and mental institution time. His wife, another close associate.
Hold on, right there. You keep going off on tangents on these other people and just saying that he's guilty by association.
Okay.
Let's just say that, so he's associated with him. Does that make him a criminal?
Yes, it does, because he actively took part in trying to take my children away from me.
What crime, in your opinion, has he committed by associating or going to the same church as people that have been convicted? What specific crime has he committed there?
Conspiracy. Conspiracy is the crime, okay, because he hangs out with these same people that conspire to bomb abortion clinics, okay, that conspire to abduct children, that conspire to murder children, and conspire to frame people for crimes. So that he's guilty.
We don't have any proof of that.
Then that's your job. Then do an investigation and find out and make it sure.
I can only investigate crimes that happen in my jurisdiction, Danielle. Do you understand that?
Then I do understand that. So that's why he likes to organize crimes outside of his jurisdiction. It's very convenient that he does things in Boulder.
So you're saying Gordon Carroll is organizing crimes outside of Arapahoe County?
Yeah, I am saying that, actually, and you should look into it.
And inside.
What crimes specifically?
Well, why don't you look into drug trafficking, sex trafficking, child porn, any type of affiliations that Sullivan has. I'm sure Gordon Carroll is very familiar with those types of behaviors.
Okay. All right. Well, our conversation is done, Danielle. Okay. If you have specific examples, then certainly I can do that. But it sounds to me like you're just associating him with people and issues and things that are either your opinion, but that you don't have anything to support.
I have 20 years worth of court documents to support it.
And I'm not saying at all that I'm not going to and am currently looking into a lot of the issues that we've talked about, but I won't speak to ongoing investigations. So, talked about over the past 24 hours. But as far as what those details are and what that would be, I won't discuss those right now.
Okay, and now I don't mean any disrespect to you. I don't want. It really does appear that you want to cover up Gordon's dirty behavior. Now, I would recommend you just confronting Gordon and tell him that he needs to come clean because he's hiding a lot. You need to go to the FBI and you need to tell him what he knows because Gordon Carroll is covering up.
Okay, hold on. I know exactly how to do my job, and I know exactly who I should talk to and what questions I should ask.
Okay.
But keep in mind, the accusation that you make against me that I'm trying to cover this up, remember, I'm the one that reached out to you.
Well,
if I was trying to cover something up, I probably wouldn't be calling you to get...
Well, that's not entirely true because you could just be wanting to get information to see what we know so you can, steer me off.
I called you to get some information.
Right.
My job is to find the truth. And so I called you to get the information that you have.
It doesn't really seem like you're interested in knowing the facts because the facts are that Gordon Carroll hangs out with convicted criminals. I mean, just because they manage to ride the misdemeanor line, 20 times they get arrested for misdemeanor crimes, that's somehow okay as long as it's not a felony because we sure wouldn't want their DNA to be tested, would we? Because that would be...
Okay, but again, Danielle, he's not violating any of our policies, okay?
Okay. Well, and that's why Arapahoe County looks so dirty because your policies don't have any kind of moral standard that require that your cops have some kind of integrity, some kind of a high upstanding lifestyle that they have on their off time.
I think there were several people that would disagree with you because we are an accredited agency because of our policies, because we do have high standards. Otherwise, we wouldn't be an accredited agency. And we are very transparent in our policies and in a lot of our procedures. So,
well,
I respectfully disagree with you, and that we don't have high standards. We do. We just also have to follow people's civil rights, in that we can't restrain people completely in their associations. To some degree, we can, but we can't completely dictate their lives. Does that make sense?
Of course, I understand that. I guess until you completely investigate it, you shouldn't make a judgment and assume that I'm lying.
I don't assume that. I've never accused you of lying.
Okay. Well, this isn't just my opinion. These are facts, and I'm not making stuff up about them being convicted criminals.
Okay. I'm not saying that you are. I'm saying that, but your accusations, that Bob Enyart may be a serial killer. I mean, we don't have any convictions, and to my knowledge, he is not a suspect through any federal agencies or local ones with regards to any homicide.
Well, usually serial killers kill lots of people before they actually become a suspect. So we have dead bodies everywhere that are showing up everywhere on the in rivers and on the mountains and abductions, and and so we do have evidence of crime going on.
We have evidence, yes, there are, unfortunately, homicides that happen across the country. I don't think, I don't know that they're all associated with Bob Enyart.
No, I know, but that's what the investigation needs to lead to.
I don't know that any agency is looking at him or has listed him as a suspect and or even a person of interest in any of those.
Well, he murdered JonBenet Ramsey, and that's a fact. And so just because he hasn't been officially arrested for it doesn't make it untrue.
Well, it also doesn't make it true because he hasn't been arrested either.
Okay. Well, why won't Bob Enyart deny it?
We can certainly agree to disagree, which clearly, we are going to. But rest assured, we are, and I am looking into some things, and I will ask, people some questions. So don't think that, this is just going nowhere. That's not the case at all.
Okay, good. I am glad to know that. And maybe since Bob Enyart has an FBI number, you can talk to the FBI and see what they think about the situation, like I said, because they've known about it for a year.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for your time. And if you have any other questions, you can contact me back.
I certainly will. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.